A promotional video shows glass towers rising from the sea, off the coast of Lagos. Clean avenues, blue skies, computer-generated smiling families. The camera never turns toward the other side of the fence, where a real neighborhood floods with every high tide. The scene sums up a global habit that almost nobody names. Cities of the future are not rehearsed in the suburbs of those who designed them. They are rehearsed far away, on territories with less power to refuse. That is the question carrying this video. Why does experimental urbanism always choose the same places to run its trials, and who carries the risk when the experiment fails? First, the mechanism. Contemporary urbanism increasingly works through pilots, demonstration projects that test a technology, a management model, or a nature-based solution. Every pilot needs a place where failing is cheap. The Global South offers exactly that: inexpensive land, flexible regulation, governments hungry for investment, and populations with little veto power. The asymmetry is the core of the arrangement. Design happens elsewhere, funding comes from elsewhere, and the risk stays put. In medicine, testing a treatment on people who never consented would be an ethical scandal. In urbanism, it is called a pilot project and gets presented at international conferences to warm applause. Urban theory has been pointing at this pattern for a while. The researcher Jennifer Robinson showed that urban theory was built by studying a handful of northern metropolises while pretending they were universal. The researcher Onanya Roy described how urban models circulate the world as ready-made recipes, detached from their context. And the planner Vanessa Watson coined the term African urban fantasies for those imported digital renderings of skyscrapers projected onto real cities. From this literature comes the post-colonial questionnaire we will use here. Facing any experimental city, 3 questions: who designs, who funds, and who carries the risk. When the 3 answers point to different places, suspicion is warranted. First case, the city of towers on the sea. Off Lagos, a huge private district rises on land reclaimed from the ocean, protected by a sea wall. It is marketed as a refuge against rising sea levels and a showcase of the African future. Design and capital come largely from abroad. The available evidence shows 2 uncomfortable effects. Protection reaches only those who can afford a home inside the perimeter. And several studies warn that the infrastructure itself may worsen erosion along neighboring coasts, where the people who were never consulted actually live. The climate experiment shields itself and outsources the wave. Second case, the national program of some 100 smart cities in India. Sensors, applications, control centers, and new towns built at full speed as a national showcase. The researcher Iona Dutta has studied it closely and describes an urbanism of speed. The pilot's haste runs over the slower time of local democracy. To build some of these model cities, farmland was acquired from thousands of families, with disputed compensation and no real vote on the project. The smart citizen imagined in the renderings rarely matches the concrete inhabitant who already lived there. The technology gets tested first, the rights get negotiated afterwards. Third case, the most extreme, the experimental city with its own rules. On a Honduran island, foreign investors promoted a private enclave under a special legal regime, with norms, courts, and governance different from the host countries. Neighboring communities never voted on its creation. When the country changed its mind and repealed the legal framework, the promoters responded by claiming a multi-billion compensation from the state before international arbitration tribunals. Here the laboratory shows its purest trait. The experiment demands immunity from the territory that hosts it. Something similar happens with certain green offset projects. Forests and mangroves manage to capture other people's carbon, restricting the uses of the communities that lived from them. Let us be fair to the counter-argument, because there is one. These projects bring investment, jobs, and infrastructure to places that need them, and many southern governments pursue them actively. Nobody signs at gunpoint. Experimenting is not bad in itself either. Urban innovation needs trial, and the South has produced innovations the whole world copied: mobile money born in Kenya and the rapid bus system invented in Curitiba traveled from south to north. All of this is true, and it forces the critique to sharpen. The problem is not that experiments exist, nor where the idea comes from. The problem is how consent, benefit, and risk are distributed. That distinction separates cooperation from trials run on third parties. Back to the opening question, why always the same places, and who pays for failure? We can now answer with a verifiable criterion. An urban experiment is legitimate when the population can reject it, when it shares the benefit if it works, and when it does not carry the cost alone if it fails. When those conditions are missing, there is no innovation, there is extraction wearing technical vocabulary. The Global South does not need to be anyone's laboratory, because it never stopped producing city with its own means and its own ideas. A city is not a test tube, and its inhabitants are not the sample. Next time you see a dazzling urban pilot, ask who was able to say no.